Tonight we're going to dive into a special training, diving into how to fit health back into your day. If you're not sure how this is all going to be fit in, the first thing I'm going to tell you is we can't fit that 25th hour into the day. So the main objective of today's call is going to be going in and diving in to understanding how we fit you back in your day. If you're feeling slow, sluggish, uncomfortable, and you're trying to make these changes, you're trying to get your health back on track, where do we start? And one of the big changes that I want to help work with you is how do we simplify those down into a couple of simple steps? Because we work with so many clients that we see the same obstacles come up time and time again that are making it impossible for you to keep on top of your health. We've got so much in our schedule, family, work, all sorts of commitments and obligations pulling us every direction, and we're left with the scraps. So I want to walk through how we can make this change and ultimately how we can fit you back in the day. But before we dive into that, I want you to go through one simple check for you. And ultimately, when we start to put time aside for us, like a walk or a gym session or just simply sitting down for a meal, do we feel selfish for giving ourselves that time? Because the chances are you likely do, and most people do, because they feel that they've got so much other things that need to be done that we just kind of leave us to the end of the day. And if you're not taking the time to fit you back in your day, then you're only giving your half best to anybody else anyway. And taking that time to really value yourself, really actually put you into your calendar goes a really, really long way in trying to flip the conversation a little bit around how do we fit health back in your day. It can be as simple as I write business tasks in a blue pen, and then when I write my task, I write in a red pen. Red means it is not moving unless someone's dead, right? Taking the time to really change those things so that we have the normal day task and we have the non-negotiables. When we can take that time to really lock those in, then it's not moving no matter what. It's a non-negotiable. And that allows us to look at that in a slightly different way to make sure that we can fit this in. Now, the main thing for today is I want to break this down and ultimately give you a couple of things that we can work through to build the body back up. Now, the first part that we want to touch on is looking through what that day might look like. Now, this is an example that I've gone through with a client before that would really ultimately show you what I would touch on with a client to ultimately identify where they should start. All right. So if you can see that, okay, I will maybe make that just a wee bit bigger. Is this going to give you an idea of what that might look like, right? So this person wakes up at 5, has 2 coffees to wake up, bit of chill time, maybe he does a bit of emails, and then he's got a gym session in the morning. From there, he's then got another coffee in, and meal 1, starts work, smashes through, has lunch at the table while he's busy cranking through more emails. Finishes work, drives home, cooks dinner, gets back into a couple more calls, oversees all of the things, and then he goes to bed around 10. So overall, he's ticking off some things, right? He's getting a gym session in. He's got what looks like 3 meals, right? He's still getting those in. And he's also getting to bed on a pretty reasonable time, right? But what if we really dissect this and where, if your body's starting to slow down, you're not feeling as energetic, as sharp, as you're not sleeping as well as you used to, then ultimately there's a lot of things in here that we can still look to optimize, right? And the goal here is not to optimize all of them all at once. The goal is ultimately to find out where do we start and then build from there, okay? So the first one here is we're cranking into 2 coffees right away when we wake up before we really dive into anything here. So one of the first adjustments I make is not necessarily removing coffee entirely, but I do want to give ourselves at least a 30-minute gap before we add a coffee in, right? So what I would do is make sure that we're hydrating first. We're actually going through, ideally he's put chill time down here, but I'm going to take it one step further and maybe go journal, meditate, or simply like a walk, like just whatever works for you. If meditation's not for you, ultimately I might even change that to simply just breathing. It could be the same thing, but people have weird ideas of what meditation is. It doesn't have to be on a mountaintop. It's literally taking time to breathe. So we're adding a couple of things there, and then simply we are potentially we can have that coffee here, okay, if we still feel like we need it. But that really just giving yourself that 30 minutes, adding something in for you at the start of the day will make a huge difference in how we're moving. We're getting in the gym session. One thing I would change here is adding in coffee post-training is just going to increase the stress response for longer. We're not going to recover from training, and we're probably not going to utilize that meal all that well as well. So getting rid of the coffee for at least, again, that 30 minutes post workout will make a big difference. Or even, ideally it should be a couple of hours. You should be running off the endorphins from your workout. So making sure we're hydrating, breathing, and doing all this to improve our energy overall will now allow us to be in a space. I will just put that way. And then coffee, we get the gym session in, we have our meal. Maybe we just leave the coffee until we're actually at work. So we're giving ourselves a good hour to eat, get ready for work, and then we need it if we need it later here, okay? Next one is we have lunch. Now the thing here is actually like block out the hour, right? Take the time or the 30 minutes, like whatever it needs to be for you. I personally take about 30 minutes rather than the full hour, but taking the time to add that in so that you're actually stepping away from work to have that meal. You're not doing it while you're finishing emails, still having a meeting, whatever else. because you stopping to actually to eat your food, chew your food, and breathe, like take an actual break, can make some of the biggest changes in your digestive system and the quality of your food actually moving forward. Okay. Then we move forward, we're driving home, we've got that space, and then ultimately we've got this big block of time here where we're starting to run into a bunch of stimulatory things to the overseas calls, all of these other things, right? So the big shift that I've done here is I'll keep that there actually, is trying to make sure that I would much rather make sure that we have that 1 hour away from screens before sleep. Now, this can be at 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock, whatever your time is. I think there's still some variation. I'd like it to be before 10, but ultimately, if we're still going to make bedtime at 10, he's happy with that one. I would just be making sure that if there is any emails, any things that we need to do here, emails, calls, then we'd make sure we're at least giving ourselves that hour before bed. All right. Now, that's just an overall goal. I ultimately would see over time what we're working for is as soon as we come home from work, we're ideally stopping that work creeping back into other areas of our life. And this is where I'm sure a lot of you are noticing this issue come through a lot, is emails happen in the morning, calls happen after work, and there's no distinct lock-in and times that we can actually work within this block, which means we're actually less productive through this time anyway, because we're dragging it out because we know we're going to do more when we get home. If you can really start to be productive in your day and really make sure you're setting out deep work blocks within your day to make sure it's effective, productive, focused work, you can get a lot more done in 6 hours than trying to drag it down into 10. And when I challenge people on that, it makes a really big difference to improving their overall productivity at work, their overall quality of work, and ultimately making sure that they still have time, for kids, for reading, for whatever that thing is at home that allows us to really wind down in the day. And I guarantee that make a massive difference, not only to your work productivity here, but ultimately it also make a huge difference to these last couple of hours of the day. Okay. So in the morning, this hopefully seems like a simple place to start, but giving you ultimately a somewhere to focus in regards to what does that morning look like. And I know I've written hydrating like it's a really simple thing, but if you're not getting in at least 500 ml in the morning, it is going to affect your productivity, your ability to function in the first part of the day. Really, most people are not hydrating with water nearly enough. That in itself will make a big difference. And then my other big one is down here. To give you a couple options, more happy to take you through this. This is a morning formula document we use with our clients a lot. So this is our 10-3-2-1-0. 10 hours before bed, we are stopping caffeine, right? So we're actually giving ourselves time to get deep quality sleep. 3 hours before bed, we're having that last meal and stop consuming alcohol if we are having alcohol, because it may make us feel sleepy, but the quality of sleep is going to be horrendous, right? So really making sure it's not just quantity, it is quality with everything, sleep, training, nutrition. It's always about quality, not the quantity. 2 hours before bed, we're stopping work, right? We're really giving ourselves at least that time. And this, obviously, we'll work towards it, but we're trying to give ourselves that hour away from sleep. And then all of that, we've got that 1 hour before bed to turn off all screens. So our next step here might be a case of, those 2 hours, but we're working towards that. We're finding those first steps. As I mentioned to one of our blokes inside the Body Reset group, take it one step at a time. Hopefully this is allowing you to identify there's other things we could certainly work on, right? We could look at frequency of meals. We could look at breaking things up a little bit more. We could look at the quality of what's actually in the dinner. But this allows for some simple steps at 2 chunks in the day to just break that down into a couple more areas. All right. If you want to dive a little bit more into this, I'm more than happy to give away a couple of these documents to go deeper. We've got a full 5-day challenge that runs you through all of this, and we've built that around male and female specifically. So we dive into andropause, which is essentially the male version of menopause. It's this slow decline of energy, of sex drive, of their ability to recover, ability to feel good in your own skin. And ultimately, it really is becoming a real problem in today's men, because we're seeing testosterone levels drop a lot more and a lot earlier than they really should. So if you're in that spot, definitely something to check out. We dive right into andropause, understanding what it is, what's going on, and then going deeper into how we actually fit this into your day, like the actionable steps from today, being how do we fit you into your day, what are the food groups that we should look at, and building from there. And we do exactly the same thing on the menopause side, and really making sure that we're understanding hormones, what are the fluctuations that you're going through, and how do we make sure that we can manage those symptoms better, so it's more of a slow decline in hormones that we can manage, rather than a plane crash that comes with all these symptoms and makes us feel terrible. So if you want access to either of those 5-day challenges, just comment below 5-day challenge, and I'll send you through access to that challenge along with these guides to help you with that a little bit more. Hopefully today's training was helpful for you, team. Just wanted to go a little bit deeper into how we tend to allow our clients to really simplify how they fit health back in their day, because the perfect workout, the perfect nutrition plan is not perfect unless it's something that we can easily fit into our day. So using that as a bit of an example of what we break this down to hopefully gives you a couple of things to think about. I hope you're having a great week, guys. It's been absolutely huge here. Looking forward to seeing what you get away from that. If you drop below what you found valuable from that, or what's one simple step that you're taking away from today, I'd love to hear what those are. See ya. Bye.